Today only, some of your favorites are 60% off. Go to CyberMondayOmaha.com between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. today for these 60% off 1620 The Zone Cyber Monday deals.
Giving Tuesday is our day to prove the power of the Metro. It's time to be counted among those who are doing what's needed. Now is the time to give all we can. Join Share Omaha on November 30th and give to hundreds of local nonprofits, all in one stop. Give on November 30th at shareomaha.org. Locally, Giving Tuesday is powered by Share Omaha with support from Core Bank for Giving Tuesday 402 and TS Bank for Giving Tuesday 712 at shareomaha.org.
Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs.
You wearing ratty jackets from Stephen Barry's. Praying one day Big Red will win the NIT.
Ham is the water of meats.
Ham the water of meats.
Ham is the water of
On the moderately new look Zone TV.
Let's go!
Yeah. Just a few graphics that we're playing with. And coming in 2022, more video.
Ooh.
You know, segments like this, which we always do on video, because Jack's one of our few friends of the program that actually doesn't mind doing the video.
Sure.
And Kent, the movie club, and Mike Farron. But next year, the goal, more video.
Awesome.
More video, not just of us, but of all of our programs.
Programs?
Programs.
Oh.
And the program.
2022 is going to be lit, man.
Yes, it will.
I'm excited.
Well, I mean, 59% believe Nebraska's going to be bowl eligible next year, so it's going to be
Speaking
lit.
of lighting up some stuff, am I right?
Hello, Jack.
Hi, Jack.
You look so sad.
Ready to talk about how Nebraska's going to attack that Northwestern defense in the Aer Lingus Bowl.
In the what bowl?
Aer Lingus.
Oh, okay. I didn't know we could say those words on the radio.
Well, it's Irish. It's Irish.
I think it's deadly sins.
Oh, it's an Irish technique.
No, I think it's Irish for Sky Talker or something like that. I don't know exactly.
I thought
Is that like the Skywriters tour?
I thought the Irish spoke English like the rest of us. They just speak with a funny accent.
You know, I'm excited for this game because it gives me 8 months of doing my spot-on Irish accent all of the time. Whatever, 9 months.
271
9 months from
days.
actually Saturday, this past Saturday. So, I mean, we got a long slog, 271 days until we get there, Jack.
Because, hello, we're about to play in Ireland. They're about to go to Ireland.
6 out of 10.
Six.
I'll have me a Guinness.
I got your back, Jack.
I'll have some corned beef and hash.
I like these new logos, by the way. I like this. There's no StreamYard bird, which is great. The front of the program logo, the 1620 The Zone TV logo. This is sweet.
Yeah, it's like looking at a freaking NBA jersey. Holy cow.
Wow.
Oh, it's not that busy. Give me a break.
Yeah,
I mean,
this is busy, Jack. Just wait until we start selling this thing.
Jeff Gordon's car called it wants its paint job back.
You want some rainbow colors? I can put some rainbow colors up here if you want.
Yeah.
Okay, before we get into the actual game itself, so this was like the first game. First of all, I didn't realize this is the first game my wife and I went to.
My wife
ever together.
What?
Yeah.
We've been together for 1,000,000 years.
Well, but keep in mind that the whole time we were married, I was either working at KLIN with people like Jack, and I was
That's true.
working the game.
That's true.
This is the first time the two of us actually just got to go and sit in the stands,
holding
like I said,
hands.
It was a great day. I just want to say something about the game day experience.
Oh,
it needs a little work.
Yeah, it does, man.
It's a little too overproduced.
Oh, interesting.
In fact, it's way too overproduced.
I was going to say the concession stands were trash.
And I'm not saying that because Kirk Ferentz was upset that they were screaming into the PA mic with 6 seconds left on the play clock.
Did you find
which I was keeping track of, by the way.
Did you see why, though, what the rule is on why they were able to do that for as long as they were? Until the center touches the ball, you can do whatever you want over the PA and the band can play. So it was actually the Iowa center's fault. And so in the second half when it changed, it's because he was touching the ball earlier.
Yeah.
That's why. Anyway.
So, but Jack, you're Mr. You're more the man of the people than we are.
Sure.
I just think there's too much crap going on. Like for example, I'm watching Ohio State, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
All you could hear were the fans and the band. Mm-hmm. That was it.
Yeah.
I don't need the rock music. I don't need to stand up and shout. I don't need any of that. And I thought, I don't know what you guys thought. I thought the crowd was juiced up enough, especially for a 3-8 football team.
Yeah.
You didn't need to, add all of the tchotchkes to it. I just think it's a little overproduced.
I don't know. I thought it was like I was at.
Oh, would you rather talk about Scott Frost being retained? I thought this was a conversation right up your alley.
No, I don't know. It's fine. What I mean, it's fine. I thought the night games, that Northwestern game was the previous game I had been to, and I thought after that game, I remember walking out and saying they just did a really good job beginning to end, but it feels pretty different when you're blowing another team out. So yeah, there's a little. The stand up and shout obviously could be retired.
And I know Josh will hate this. So I want to hear more of the band.
I want to hear more of the band too, but they got to get better. That's why you don't hear them.
They play good music.
I would love to hear more of the band. I'm not anti-band. I just don't think Nebraska.
Do they mic the band, by the way?
They do not at Nebraska.
Are you sure?
They do at other games.
Because I could have swore
we could barely hear the band where we were.
No, but it seemed like there were times where it sounded like it may have been coming out of the speakers. Not full steam.
No,
but
I think I noticed that. So I sat in the south end zone, which, by the way, I don't know if I've seen any losses in the south end zone. I've hardly ever. I've kept track of every side of the stadium I've sat on my record there. But I heard the band behind me, and one time I thought, because it used to always be, I remember we used to sit when I was a student, we'd sit by the band, and it seemed like Nebraska would score with like 45 seconds left in the second quarter every game, and they had to do a tape-recorded version of the fight song.
Off the PA, yeah.
And so I thought I was hearing that, but then I looked over, and it looked like the band was playing, so I'm pretty sure.
Well, Jordan in our comments says they do mic the band.
Yeah, it was coming out of the speakers.
Oh, I never heard them. Interesting.
Yeah. Boy, I didn't. This is not where I expected we were going to go here.
I got a question for you, Jack.
I was trying to start with a softball because I know how depressed you are. You've got to deal with your in-laws. I mean, this game affects you more than it affects a lot of other people.
That's true.
I mean, everything that we could have possibly done, like extrinsically to make this happen, was done with the foremelt. Bishop was there. You said you'd never seen Nebraska lose sitting in the stands as a fan. That's unreal.
Home. Nope.
That's
that
incredible.
Was the first time.
That's ridiculous.
The only losses I've seen Nebraska when I was in the stands were at road games or at the Orange Bowl.
The 1984 Orange Bowl.
And I sat in the South Stadium. My son and I had never sat in. We were at the South Stadium for Michigan State when they beat Michigan State in the snow. Every game I've taken to them in the South Stadium, they've won.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I got nothing left. I'm just glad for a break. I'm so thankful.
So I wanted to ask you about that because I've seen you mention multiple times on Twitter over the last couple of weeks you're fatigued with discussing Husker football. So I'm wondering how you are going to approach, especially this early part of the offseason when there is a ton of news and a ton of stuff that is breaking, but you also are so sick and tired of the discourse surrounding Nebraska football. Last year you said you were going to take a break, and you actually did take a break. How are you going to approach that at least over the coming weeks before we get into the offseason knowing everything we're going to know about the team?
I'm fatigued of talking about this year and what it was. I'm fatigued of relitigating the Frost thing. Like, I guess I'm going to have people coming at me always on Twitter now when I'm sure you guys do too, but anytime that there's an indication that Frost should have been fired, I had people coming at me over the weekend about it. And I'm just tired of, I might have been wrong. I don't know. I just don't know. I've said that the entire time. I said that the entire time that it's really close. It's hard to tell. It was my choice between two to sit, but I don't want to do that anymore because all it does is puts us further into this fan on fan animosity. That's what characterizes the fan base of this program right now. But I will say I'm interested in actual news. Like I was actually kind of hoping we would have something maybe today to talk about, transfer portal news, which probably wouldn't have been good, but transfer portal news that related to Nebraska or maybe a hire or something like that. I am looking forward to seeing that to start to understand what the next season is going to look like. Well, there's more questions than ever as many as you can have without changing a head coach.
Yeah. Do the names that are being bandied about for the various open spots, Mickey Joseph, not Dominic,
not Dominic. Donovan. Don't call me Dominic Raiola.
Yeah. So Dom's brother.
Graham Harrell.
That one's lost a little steam.
It's lost a little.
He sounds like somebody who'll bomb the ball. So yeah. He went
Hell
to
yeah,
Texas
he would.
Tech.
Ron Brown.
Stop.
John Garrison.
I'm not kidding with Ron Brown, man.
No,
That's not a joke. That was not me trolling. That's real.
Do those names excite you?
I don't
Should
know.
they excite you?
I don't. There's no name that I hear, and no, none of those names. I mean, I'm not saying you don't hire those guys.
Wow, out on Ron Brown.
But I would like to. I mean, Graham Harrell. You said he's probably out, but that
Maybe. Yeah.
I'd like to bring in somebody new, completely new to the program. To be honest, completely new to get. But and by the way, I would consider Mickey Joseph that. I heard a little of, I don't know if it was you guys with Gary or just Gary. It was just Gary in his last segment, and he had an email that said, "Why do we always go back to the well of former Huskers?" Like, I don't mean this to say this something mean about Mickey Joseph, but he spent so far from the program since he graduated. Like, you would go after him whether he was a former Husker or not. So, like, I don't see him as that. I don't see him as a part of this clique of former Huskers at all.
It's okay. So John mentioned John Garrison. I view John Garrison differently than I view Mickey Joseph, and they're both former Huskers,
yes.
right? Okay.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, plus Garrison would be, for lack of a better term, recycled as an assistant coach because he was also an offensive line coach here.
Yeah,
too.
he was there.
So there's part of that, here at play. So here are, there's a few, but I guess these would be my list of concerns heading into the offseason and heading into next year. And first and foremost on that list really has to do with Scott Frost and whether or not he truly, can give up offensive play calling duties, and B, if he should. And then I guess the offshoot of that is, can he be a CEO style head coach? He's never done it before. And I go back to what I thought, a few weeks ago when we found out that, Frost was going to be brought back, was the idea of, if we're going to go into next season under this assumption that Scott Frost is on a predetermined hot seat, which I think a lot of people are. If you're up against it, are you willing to part with the one thing that has been your calling card for over a decade? And that's play design and calling plays and being the offensive coordinator. I mean, I don't know about the rest of you, but if you knew something was at stake, you would want to take as much control of your destiny as you can versus handing it off, especially to someone if you don't know them. And we don't know at this point who the offensive coordinator is going to be, but let's just assume, for argument's sake, it's someone that Frost has never worked with before. Are you going to be willing to hand that off, knowing that my butt's on the line here? This job that I've wanted since dark 30, I might lose it. And so can he do that? Is he really going to be able to separate himself from being the offensive coordinator and calling the plays and trust somebody else to do that? And then the offshoot of that is, can he be a CEO head coach?
Okay, so let me ask you guys a question first, because I don't know what you think, but of course I know I know what you think about Frost as a coach. How much of that is the play calling on offense? Like, how much is that a major critique that backs your overall position?
Like, why?
Just the play calling.
My criticism of Frost as a coach, how much does play calling? Like,
how much is it largely that, or is that not a big part of where your critique comes from?
No, it's honestly less of my critique.
Yeah, to me, I
think he should have a different play caller, but I think that's so far down on the.
To me, it's just the general organization of everything, the neglect of special teams.
I agree.
The culture that is, in my opinion, not a good culture. Otherwise, you wouldn't be losing all of these close games. Those are bigger concerns than, just the nuts and bolts of play design and play calling.
So I agree with you. And it was weird because I think I tweeted this during the Wisconsin game when the offense was looking really good. And I was saying Scott Frost made a huge mistake to fire this play caller. And because, of course, play caller was him during the course of that game. And yeah, there is, John, to your question, there's a part of me, and I know what the answer to a lot of people is going to be, well, this is why you get rid of him as a coach. But there's a part of me that thinks, okay, everybody should play to their strengths now with what they do. And I think Frost's strength is as an offensive coordinator, but I think the failures this year, you can go to that punt block that you guys were talking about. You can go to some of the quick decisions on whether to go for it or kick the field goal, the special teams breakdowns, weird substitution patterns, those sorts of things, sticking with Adrian, not sticking with Adrian. Like, there almost needs to be just like a details manager to some degree. Someone who is just an absolute details manager that doesn't call plays, right? That I mean, you let that that's gonna be but can Frost do that because of all the questions that you asked? Like, if you're going with this staff, John, there's absolutely a part of me that says, okay, he's the head coach, but he should be calling plays, but you almost need someone, I don't know if it's an offensive coordinator or someone to really, really stick to stick to the details. And can Frost, I think that's a big question about next year. Okay. Can Frost maximize the time and the mental space that is not used up by calling plays by really addressing those detail issues that have beat Nebraska throughout this course of year? Game management, substitutions, special teams, making sure you're lined up right, who's punting, all of those sorts of things. It's almost like all these coordinators are kind of on an island. These assistant coaches are on an island, and you need somebody who should be the head coach, but you need somebody to really oversee all of them for complete quality control. I know they call it quality control, the interns or whatever that they get, but that's legitimately what this program needs right now. And it's just going to be a matter of whether Frost can really take and embrace that role and do it well.
Yeah, another way of kind of asking the question that you just asked, Jack, is like, can he be organized away from the games themselves that maximizes the potential of everything? Like, we're going to talk about the punt block, I know, at some point today. And, as with everything this season, there are some who are going to be critical of Frost, and there are going to be some that are critical of the players, because if they were misaligned, hey, why didn't the punter say, hey, we got to get lined up correctly? To which I would respond, I mean, do they practice that thing enough? Do they put enough of an emphasis on it? I would argue that they have never put enough of an emphasis on special teams. So in a way, like, all of this is less about him maybe ceding play calling to somebody else. And it's more, are they going to be able to practice and prepare as a program in a way that will allow them to make up for the mistakes that they have made, whether it's with calling plays or whether it's with, something else. I don't know.
Like why are Cherney and Pristup both punting? And like, who's making that call? Exactly.
Why? I'm sure it's been
use both of them, and I was like, why is he coming out?
Right. The fact that you're swapping punters in and out is odd to me. And listen, I'm sure it's been done before elsewhere. I know once upon a time Nebraska had different kickers, place kickers, a short distance and a long distance. I think it was Tom Seiler and Darren Erstad kind of traded off that duty, and that made some sense. But the fact that you have two entirely different punters, and it may have been that fact that led to the punt block,
like
that we'll get to later. But where is that organization?
Right.
It's funny because Frost totally and completely entrusts Eric Chenander to run the defense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he's not involved at all.
Yeah, it's all him.
He's not involved at all. That gives him, obviously, the chance to be totally ensconced in the offense. But then the special teams loses its line of direction, and we see the breakdowns that continue to happen there. And you're right, it would be nice to have a details-oriented guy, but in many aspects, that starts with the head coach and is a mindset that
it's a personality trait.
Yeah, and it trickles down to everybody.
Yeah.
And everybody is in on the details. And it's like, it's like the left hand knowing what the right hand is doing, so forth. And it just seems like there is still 4 years in with most of the same guys in the leadership group, that there are many times where the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing.
Like I said, it seems like the assistant. I was just going to say, John, sorry to interrupt it, but like I said, it seems like all these coaching groups are on islands, right? And you've got it. Frost has got to be able. He really does have to make that transition. That's what it's going to be. And I don't know what you're going to give up by him giving up the play calling, but he's going to have to take an incredibly different role. I think a really different role with this team, and first time that he's done it, I think, and not sort of micro focus and really really macro focus, but details all over the place. Constant quality control.
I want to go back to something you said earlier, Jack. Do you have, I guess, a little buyer's remorse on them bringing it back now that the season is over and that the record actually is 3-9? Because you had an answer earlier that made me think that you're not, I guess, as staunchly in your
I've
point
never
of view.
been staunchly in my. That's the thing.
Because you always come off like you were, though.
I've said it a billion times. It's close. I don't know how to tell you any other way. It's a close, difficult call. No, I've never said that. It's staunch and it's obvious. Never, ever, ever. So,
but have the last two games, or specifically this one, moved you in any further in one direction or the other?
I don't know. I haven't. I don't know. It depends on who they were going to get. That's part. I mean, and I know. I mean, we've had this conversation a billion times. So I don't. And there is a reluctance by me, yes, to rebuild the thing again, go through all that transfer, everything that would. All the rebuild that I think would have to happen. So, no, yeah, I mean, I think the last, not necessarily the Wisconsin game necessarily, I wouldn't say. That just made me think Scott Frost did a good job calling plays in that game. But the thing with here's another example of it. A couple of examples. I remember in his first year, I think it was after Michigan, and they asked Frost some questions about the defense in the post game, and he basically said something to the effect of, and I'm paraphrasing. And he basically said, I'm busy with the offense during that time.
Yep.
Remember that?
Yep.
Number two, he was asked this year, and I don't know if it was after a game or it was on a Monday press conference, but about the weird rotation of running backs, and which made no sense, and it still didn't. I think it hurt the team this year. And he basically said that's Ryan Held's call on that, right?
Yep.
You guys remember that?
Yeah.
I mean, those are great examples. Those are great examples.
He said it again about the punt. He said they asked him about the punt. He said, "I don't know. I gotta watch what happened." He said that during the game, and I know that sometimes you can't see everything, but it was almost like the way I kind of heard that was, I missed it. I missed what we did wrong there. I'll have to get back to you. When he said I'll be watching the play in 10 minutes or whatever it was.
I don't know. I would be curious who. Yeah. Then who's changing the punters out? Who's doing that? Well,
it's got to be. You got to assume that's special teams coordinator. That's Dawson.
Dawson, yeah.
That's his call. You would assume.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know who else would do it.
I mean, that's a head coach thing, maybe, to me.
Yeah.
That might be what it needs to be. Those are some decisions that you need to make at this point to just streamline the process.
Man, going back to something we were talking about a couple minutes ago, Josh asked something on Twitter that I've been thinking on, and I guess haven't put pen to paper to write down, but he says, is it at all concerning that we are asking / forcing Frost to do something he was not hired to do? And
yeah, that's one of my concerns.
Kind of what you were getting into.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think it is, right? You're asking
him to bust out of his comfort zone, which can be a good thing, by the way. Yeah. But when you're up against it, don't you want everybody who's on board to be playing exactly to their strengths? Yeah. And this is one of those, learning on the fly type situations, which people have been critical of in the past, that Nebraska should not be treating its head coaching positions like a learning on the job situation.
Yeah.
Or training wheel situation.
A couple tweets. Kurt says, everything Jack says points to firing Frost would be the logical decision, but continues to live on the fence. And then Amazing Daniel says, I've always heard Jack's opinion on keeping Frost to be more of a resigned position due to lack of great options.
Thank you. I'm glad one person is listening. Thank you, Daniel.
USC apparently had good options.
I know people there it is. That first tweet though, there it is. It's gonna what do I say now? I don't know. Does it matter?
Look, it doesn't. It
doesn't matter at all. Maybe they should have. They should have. I don't. Yes, you're taking a gamble. Either way, I've said that umpteen times.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, you guys have pinpointed, and I think you're right. You are asking him to do something new. We don't know how he is going to do, but I think that's what he has to do, right? Yeah. The model of the head coaching strategy in the past with him has been what it is. It didn't work here. Yeah. So, I don't. He's, and I guess another question is, how do you look at other coaching staffs and how they do it? Yeah. To me, that's part of what you do. You've got to learn exactly how that situation works. And yeah, that's what they need is attention to detail. And where it's not being had, where it's not making sense, and where it's not cohesive with the entire team.
As Nate says on our YouTube comments, he says Frost as a CEO makes more sense. He got his start working with linebackers. The idea of working with multiple groups instead of just the offense is much better. And that is true. But again, he has been primarily, especially once getting to the Power 5 level, Oregon, well, and I know Central Florida is not Power 5, but since he got to this level of coaching, either high-level offensive coordinator or a head coach, he has been an offensive play caller.
Mm-hmm.
That is what he has been. And now all of a sudden you're like, you're going to try to strip that away, trust somebody brand new, and ask him to focus more on the details, which, by the way, they've been talking about for several years, and yet it still hasn't happened.
Yeah.
And so you wonder, look, is that really going to be the answer?
He's been calling plays. But he's been calling plays. Like that's where the difference has to be. You've got to use that, whatever is freed up from not doing that, and you're going to have to, and like you said, John, it might be hard to release it given the situation that he's in, but you've got to bank on the idea that there is freed capital there during the games, in Scott's headspace, during practice, all over the place.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, Jack, is practice. How is practice going to be different now that he is freed up from just being the offensive guy? Because that's really where the differences are going to be made.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to have a different role on Saturday, but you practice more than you play.
Well, that's why
you're on the practice field in the meeting rooms and in film more than you're on the field. And that's where the difference is going to be made up in, whatever changes he makes, and if they manifest itself into positive change on the field.
I would love to ask Jonathan Rutledge what he thought of the breakdown of time that was allocated towards special teams. I would love to ask him, because that is going to play a big part in it. It's not just about, you could have the best special teams coach in the world. You could have Frank Beamer, you could have Urban Meyer, you could have those guys as your special teams coordinators. But if you're not allocating the right amount of time to that position group, it's not going to help anything. So I would love to know how they change allocation of practice breakdowns. I think that's going to play a big part in all this.
Yeah, I agree. It'd be fascinating to actually know how much time, Frost or really any head coach spends with the various group. What do you do when you break out into position groups and do film? What's the head coach do then? I don't know the answer, and I don't know how it's different from coach to coach, but that's one of the things that you look at.
A few other comments here from the Twitter account.
The J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed?
Well, it's not the Twitter account. It's our YouTube. I guess we need to sponsor
YouTube.
this too.
Yeah, heck yeah, we do. Yeah, the comment section.
JP wants to know. He's just making a comment. It says, Iowa's going to be better. Minnesota's going to be better. Wisconsin will be better. Illinois will be better. Northwestern can't get worse. So trying to build the case that next year is going to be a bear as well.
It's going to be. Of course it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at the record Jack, look at the record that they have against their opponents on the schedule. It's not going to be easy.
I'm just the here we go with the Big Ten. Romanticizing Iowa and Wisconsin again. They might be. I don't know. There's a great chance Wisconsin rips off another 500 season like they do every other year, but people don't
still beat Nebraska.
But still beat Nebraska. Romanticize Nebraska not being good is what you need to do, not romanticizing the rest of the conference.
No, his point was that these teams are definitely getting better. I'm tired of the romanticizing of the other Big Ten teams. That's making 0 point about Nebraska. I have nothing to say about Nebraska.
And Nick,
yeah,
this one's for you. Jordan says, Nick finally turning his camera on to show us his haircut. Show it off, everybody.
Man. Nick's been walking around. He wants everybody to compliment his haircut.
Take the headphones off so we can see.
Walked into the studio. Hey, Josh, how are you
Turn your head. Let's see it around.
I haven't seen you today. Hey, Nick.
He's no longer Kurt Cobain. He's now Marky Mark.
Your references need a little updating, John.
I think I want to be Kurt Cobain. You're not making a strong case.
No, you don't want to be Kurt Cobain.
Just a little
He's not
update.
alive
No,
anymore.
John, you don't understand. I do want to be Kurt Cobain.
Wow.
You want to be dead?
We thought Stibbs was depressed.
It looks nice, Nick.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We still can't figure out why you did it.
I wanted to change.
I think he got bullied.
Some people.
You were gone. He got bullied on Twitter. Oh, people were making fun
by
of him.
who?
Well, including our former producer. Some people said he looked like a homeless person. Some people said he looked
Stibbs was bullying him?
Oh,
I thought Stibbs was into long hair.
Stibbs was making jokes. Nick did not like the jokes.
Oh, that's
I was
true.
having a bad day. It's on me.
He had a bad day.
It's just a bad day.
Yeah. And here we are.
No, you know, some people go manic. They dye their hair. I cut mine off. It's normal.
Okay.
Very legal. Very cool.
All right. Well, there you go. We're into the off season now.
Yep.
And
Every Monday we're going to debate it again, whether or not. Why did I have the position that I had? Why was I such an idiot to have the position? I'm excited, and then we'll read the tweets about why I said something
Jack,
stupid.
If you really want to feel like an idiot, I think you should go back and watch the interview that you did with John the day I was gone after they beat Northwestern, the last win of the entire season.
I know. I said they're going to beat Michigan.
All over me, and I wasn't even there to defend myself.
There you go.
And they went 0-6 after that.
I said if they beat Michigan. I didn't say when they beat Michigan. If they did, then it was going to be.
They'll make fun of him. He'll be a trivia question. I'm not a trivia question.
You know that of the top 5 losing streaks in Nebraska football history, Scott Frost is responsible, at least in part, or if not in whole, for 2 of them.
Cool.
I'd forgotten they lost the last 4 under Riley before losing the first 6 under Frost. That's 10 is the longest.
That's disgusting.
Over 2 seasons, and now currently it's at 6.
They're going to end that. Well, they will not go to 10. I will guarantee it. Put it on the list. They are not losing 10.
All right. So after they lose to Northwestern, to Georgia Southern, and to Oklahoma,
they got
Barry Switzer.
No,
who's
they have
coming
the
back,
other.
by the
They have
way.
the other non-conference game before Oklahoma too.
Oh.
They have 2 non-conference. It's just the same as last year. Just the same. Well, last year the season just ended. It's the same as this season.
So yes, okay. I just wish there was an alternate world where we could see the other direction, so we could be sure someone has scoreboard, but we'll never know. We'll never know. And Josh, I was the most pro Miles person of anyone.
You were.
I said it wasn't going to work out for a long time with another change.
And now they're 5-2. They're back. If you multiply that over the course of the whole season, they're going to the tournament.
They're 5-2.
5-2, Jack.
If they continue on this pace for the rest of the season, they'll end up with 20 wins.
Damn. And Jack will be like,
still losing to Creighton, but with 20 wins.
Remember Tim Miles' tweets? Jack, by the way, we have not made an announcement about the GoFundMe, #4Milt. We are keeping it up through tomorrow because tomorrow is Giving Tuesday. So we're hoping for one last push. Thanks a lot, Nebraska. This thing would probably be north of $20,000 by now, but they lost. Thanks a lot. It's only $11,000.
That's still good.
It's incredible. It really is. We're keeping it up for one more day though, and so you can go. Donate.
That's still good.
Yeah, all of our bets.
That was a fun experience.
It was awesome.
Even it happened in a short week.
And man, it made me.
It was. Thanks to everybody who gave on that, and that was awesome. And yeah, I know people are saying, well, you could have had 2,000. We wouldn't have had any of this if the bet wasn't a part of it. So
that's true.
Well,
that's
right.
True.
Yeah, the idea was Milt wanted us to make an irresponsible bet. That's the first thing the wife did when she turned to me after the game and said, "It's a good thing you guys didn't put all that money on the game."
Jeez, negative Nelly. Can't she be a positive gal along with the positive boys?
Well, they had just lost, and Iowa was celebrating down below, and they were lifting the trophy up. And
you should have seen Josh in my meeting after the game. It was one of the most depressing things.
Basically, see you later. Meanwhile, his drunk friends trying to talk to us. That guy. He had a good time on Friday. He had a very good time. He had a lot of takes about radio shows.
Oh yeah. I was glad I got to see someone else come up to another radio host and say, "Hey, I don't really ever listen to you." Why do people think that's great? That's the thing to say to radio hosts.
I don't know.
How about you get that? I don't know if you guys get it all the time, but somebody meets you and they feel like
they love our show.
Shut up. Right away, they're like, I don't really listen to your
Most
show.
of my friends don't listen to me either, though. Don't worry.
Yeah.
They hear enough of me already.
Yeah,
it's all good.
And I don't have any friends, so it doesn't matter.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah.
All right. We'll talk to you next week.
Love you, Jack. It'll be December next week.
And I'm sure at some point there's going to be some taunting tweets from the University of Texas or something to spark the whole volleyball thing like last year. Remember the whole sunsetting Lexi Sun thing?
Yeah. They got screwed on their seating. They got screwed. What do you know?
What do you mean they got screwed?
We're out of time. We can't talk about
it.
Purdue got a better seat. It was a screw. They could just crush Purdue. They swept them. Bye.
All right. We'll see you next week. There it is, Jack Mitchell, ladies and gentlemen, on the 1620 The Zone TV. You like the graphics?
Look great. Looking awesome.
Yep.
Keith Mann, we need a warning right now on his emails for like, this has important stuff and this has nothing. Because he just sent out an email and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is it?
Oh, yeah. No,
it's their senior awards.
No.
No offense, Keith. I'm here for the news. Not here for
good
voting.
on you, Keith. You knew what you were
Seriously,
doing.
I was like, do we need a Frost Flash? No, we don't.
We don't.
Had they announced Mickey Joseph? No.
You know, that is one good thing about Frost coming back is that the Frost Flash isn't dead.
I mean, we just would have renamed it with the next coach. Campbell Flash.
That doesn't sound as good.
Matt Flash.
I mean, what if it would have been
Wake Forest old coach Flash.
A really long, elaborate name.
Like who?
Like
Bill
Adolf,
O'Brien?
like Adolf Lewandowski, the only other coach who has 2 losing streaks of 6 games or more at Nebraska.
I don't think he'll be hired again, though. That's my point.
That's too bad. I thought he got a raw deal. Yeah. All right, we're coming back after this on 1620 The Zone.